So, good evening everybody. Okay, so I think we'll start by spending a little time watching one's mind. You see, the spiritual path, you can put it a little bit louder because my voice is quite feeble. You see, the spiritual path is about experience, it's not about words. You see, one can learn many words about the spiritual path, many concepts, but it's a little bit learning how to make chocolate or how to make a pizza. You know, if we never taste it, it just stays in the head, it's just intellectual information. It doesn't feed your heart. So spiritual development is about transforming our inner being. It has nothing to do with doing. You see, one can do a lot of things, being busy, studying, learning, working. But spirituality has more to do with being, with who we are, not with what we do. So the first experience one has to gain is learning to let go. You see, as we sit here, the nature of one's mind is like a space of awareness. Which is fundamentally pure. There's nothing which makes it better, nothing which makes it worse. It's like space or like the sky. Sometimes one inner space is full of clouds of thoughts, mental images, emotion. But the nature of our consciousness is never affected by all this content. So for a little while, just try to relax your body and then relax your mind. And try to feel the space-like nature of your mind. You see, in the space of awareness, thought, mental image, emotion arise. But where do they come from? And while they are there, where do they abide? And when they disappear, where do they go to? And what's that subjective awareness that cognizes thoughts, that feels the emotion, that sees the mental image? What is that phenomena consciousness, awareness, mind, soul, whatever you want to call it. Try to go to the core of your being, to that thing that is aware, that experiences, and just stay there and let go. Now the thoughts and mental images or emotion, they arise out of that awareness. They are in the nature of that awareness, and they dissolve back into that awareness. If you can see that, you're never disturbed by thought, emotion, and so forth. They are like waves at the top of the ocean. They are made of the same water as the ocean itself. If you can see that, those thoughts will not disturb the stillness of your mind. Your mind becomes vast like the sky, and is completely still, even though thoughts might arise, but because you see them as being in the nature of the space, they arise out of space, they are in the nature of space, and they dissolve back into space. So it's just a matter of staring into the mind in a particular way, instead of being hypnotized by the thought, the mental image. you zoom and you look through them. And if you're able to establish some stillness and stay there, the mind by nature, when it's still, is in nature of bliss, of joy, of peace. The stillness of the mind itself has all the pleasure that we are looking for. Now to go to that experience in our everyday life. What we need is contentment. To realize that happiness is to be found within. And that means to develop the mind of non-attachment, to develop the thought of no need. I don't need this, I don't need that, because true happiness is found within. It's our addiction to looking outside for pleasure which prevents us from experiencing the bliss and joy that is found within. So the more we can let go of our attachment, more we have contentment, we're satisfied with the level of comfort and happiness that the world gives, and we use the free time to bring our mind home and to develop this inner contentment. That's the first stage on the spiritual development, is to realize that happiness is found within. In the stillness of the mind. And then the second stage is to feel all one experience with loving kindness, with appreciation. Is to wish that everything experience harmony and happiness, that everything becomes pure and perfect and joyous and nice. So one can start sending loving kindness to all the cells of one's body, which like oneself just want to be in good health, in harmony with the rest of the body. Yet often we abuse the body by feeding it bad food or drink, not enough exercise or sleep. So the body, the cells of the body, are often under a lot of pressure and stress. So we send caring, loving energy, light to all the cells of the body. And we ask them to forgive our misuse of them, our abuse, and we send love and loving kindness, healing energy to all the cells of our body, and they become full of light gently, and they rejuvenate. And our body becomes full of light and blissful, very light. So imagine that you radiate that caring, loving energy from your heart throughout your whole body. That you care for the cells of your body. And then you send caring, loving energy to your mind, which is a space of blissful awareness, where it is constantly shaken up by our negative thought, our stress, our fear, our obsessions. So you wish the mind to be happy, to be peaceful, to be gentle, that you care for your mind. So you send loving, caring energy to your mind, filling it with harmonious peace and joy and well-being. And then we send loving care energy to our eye, the one which is scared, afraid of the future, feels lonely, is obsessed by this and that, worries about this and that. You tell me that, oh, you're okay, you're good enough, just relax, enjoy. I care for you, I love you. Just relax, be happy, enjoy. Just let go of all your tension. Speak to him like to a friend that you wish the well-being. Send love to your eye. Then he relaxes, he feels happy. So your whole body, mind and eye is peaceful, harmonious, joyous. That's your true nature. And then you radiate out this wishing for happiness, for harmony, for perfection, for joy and peace outwards. That healing energy touches the people around you and heals their body. All the cells of their body you try to heal with the light rays energy radiating from your body. Transforming their cells into light. Then imagine that you heal their mind of all their worries, obsession, agitation, and you bring peace and harmony within their mind. And you appease their eye, that they don't need to worry, to be scared, to hide behind an armor, a mask. They can be relaxed and open, that you are a friend to them. They don't need to be scared. You only wish them well. So within this loving, caring energy, you radiate out further and further to all the beings in the Bay Area, the whole planet, and all living beings wherever they are, wherever there is a being which has feeling. You wish them well, to be happy, and you heal them with your caring energy. So your whole energy is just loving care for whatever exists, including the trees, the flowers, the ground, the sea, the sky, the clouds, the fire, the air. Whatever exists, you care for, and you wish harmony, peace and joy to everything that exists, and you radiate that out of your heart. So that state of being is the most happy, the most joyous, most meaningful state of mind to be in. It's having this loving care energy for all that exists, and wishing to bring everything that exists to its highest perfection, its highest state of joy, peace, and bliss. So a bodhisattva is a being which lives in that state of mind all the time. And then within that state, you try to see through the appearance that although there's an I, there's a body, there's a mind, there are other beings, there's a world, the four elements. But at the same time, the whole reality has no essence. It exists like a dream. A dream is there, yet if you look for its essence, it disappears. Or like a rainbow. There is an I which is rainbow-like, a body which is rainbow-like, a mind that is rainbow-like, a room that is rainbow-like, other beings which are like rainbows. So everything exists in dependence on cause and condition, parts, and a mind that designate. But if you are not satisfied with the appearance and look for something behind the screen, there's nothing. It's just appearance. It has no essence. And if you can see that, you reach a state of utter stillness and bliss. Behind the appearance of life, it comes out of a stillness of bliss and void. That's the ultimate essence of all that exists, including our body, mind and I. If you look within, try to find the essence, the core of things, you just find space of bliss and void. And that's the ultimate nature, the deep mode of existing of things. So try to go there. Whatever appears to your mind, try to find its essence. Like quantum physics, zoom into it, and you just find space and rest there in the stillness. And that experience is beyond birth, is beyond death. That's our eternity. Even death cannot take it away. Now that doesn't negate the appearances, but it changes one's relationship to them. If you know that the body, mind, I, and all phenomena have no essence, suddenly you can relax. You see, you realize that everything is pure and perfect from the beginning. Everything is as it is. everything arises in dependence on cause and condition, yet nothing has an ultimate essence. And the two don't contradict each other. It's just looking at the phenomena from two different perspectives. Superficially, they are appearances, and at the same time, if you look at it from another perspective, it has no essence. It's like space. And the enlightenment experience is to bring these two experiences together. We are trapped because we believe in a concrete I, concrete body, concrete thought, concrete emotion. We have forgotten that the whole thing has no essence and is just appearances. We don't get attached to a rainbow, we just enjoy it. Because we know we cannot buy it, we cannot sell it. The same thing with all phenomena. Once you see it as rainbow-like energy, psychologically you become free. And that's what is called liberation or nirvana, is that psychological freedom. So from the ultimate perspective, things have no essence, are just utter bliss and space and joy. Yet on the relative level, superficially, in the dreamlike world, people are happy or suffer in dependence on cause and condition, karma, mental affliction, believe in a concrete I, concrete world. So once you see that, it increases your love and compassion. You know how to bring harmony to the world and other beings. You see that they suffer simply because they have a false perception, because they believe things are concrete, solid. And because of that, they have desire, attachment, obsession, anger, stress, fear, loneliness, just because they believe in a concrete I, concrete body, concrete mind. They don't see the space which is within that, which is pure from the beginning, which is immortal, which is our true nature. So seeing that increases your love and compassion, and you wish to bring harmony to them, to tell them, look, that's the way. To go beyond, you have to see through it. All right, relax. you see, the spiritual path is about gaining this experience. That's what it's about, is how to make that our experience. Our experience meaning that we live that we see it like that. So the Buddhist spiritual path is about that, is how to transform our inner being so that we see things. That's how an enlightened being sees things. So, this Buddhist spiritual path is about how to make that our home, our true experience. And to get there, what we need is what's called joyous effort or enthusiastic perseverance. Is to, you see, it's possible to get there, but if we stay in bed the whole 24 hours a day and don't move, it won't happen by itself. We have to do something about it, right? So we have to make some effort. We have to move our butt, so to speak. It won't happen by itself, right? So what is this joyous effort? How can we define joyous effort or perseverance? Is a mind which takes pleasure in virtue. A mind which takes joy in doing good. That's what is joyous effort, perseverance, is taking enthusiasm in doing good things. Good things mean going closer to that state that we just try to experience in meditation. So how you go there, right? How you develop this perseverance is by seeing, taking joy in doing good, taking joy in virtuous action. So that's what enthusiastic perseverance is doing, taking joy in doing good things. Why? Because you understand cause and effect. Right? The key point is to understand that our states of mind, they are dependent on cause and condition. They don't appear at random. A cause produces an effect. So if your mind is peaceful and happy, it's because you behave and are in a certain way in life. So your mind is peaceful and happy. If your mind is stressed or obsessed or angry, it's because of cause and condition you put in your mind. See, one state of mind is the result of our thought, of our behavior, of our speech. That's what we are, is the resultant of the cause we put in our being, right? So by changing the causes, you see, by developing good cause, harmonious behavior, you change your state of being, right? So we have control over what we experience. So by delighting in virtue, taking joy in doing good, you transform your state of mind. So there, the important point is to discover what makes your mind happy, right? What is joy? What is happiness? See, so now there are three things that we try to experience. One is contentment, non-attachment. So you see, the problem is not with pleasure, is not with the object, with people. The problem arises if we get attached to it. You see, there's no problem with enjoying a good meal, going to the beach, watching a movie. All is okay. You see, enjoying things is not the problem. The problem arises when we hold on to it and we don't want to let go. That's where the suffering arises, the pain arises, when one holds on to things. So each time your mind wants to hold on to something, if you remember to let go, this is a virtuous state of mind. Right? That's enthusiastic perseverance. Each time your mind wants to hold on to something or somebody, you realize, hey, that holding on to that need, that, greed, that's a mind of suffering. That's painful. So let go. Right? As soon as that mind arises, let go, because you see it's painful. Right? The problem is not the person, it's not the object, it's the mind that holds. So just each time the mind wants to do that, let go. And that's a virtuous state of mind. Right? So that's something, one should try not to be lazy about. So here being lazy is indulging in that attachment and feeding it and saying it's good, oh I miss that person so much, and oh if only we could be you feed it, and then it becomes more needful, it becomes stronger and stronger, and you suffer more and more. And your psychological space is gone. You become this needy being. I need that person so much. I cannot live without him, and if he doesn't come, I kill myself. And then the second thing is to realize that the state of mind when one cares for other, one has this loving concern, that's a virtuous state of mind. You see, when you care for other, naturally you don't have jealousy for them. You're happy they enjoy themselves. How can you be, if you wish them to be happy, you cannot at the same time be jealous if they enjoy themselves, right? Because you wish them well. So that unhappy mind of jealousy cannot arise. And anger, being upset with a person, cannot arise if you love and care for them. Because it's the opposite energy. So if you fuse your mind with loving care, the anger, upsetness, hatred cannot arise within your mind. So the whole problem that arises from those negative mind of anger cannot arise. Anger is the worst state of mind, because not only it takes away all the peace you have in your mind, to the point of not being able to sleep if you go to bed angry, right? But also whatever spiritual experience you have, whatever peace of mind you've got at, is destroyed by anger, right? So let's say you have reached let's say you practice, daily, you try to be a good person and have a good heart, and suddenly you get upset and angry towards somebody. Your state of mind regress for 1 week or 2 weeks. Your peace of mind goes away, not only for 5-10 minutes, the whole foundation of your inner being is shaken up. And it will take you 1 or 2 weeks to get back to that state. So the destructive energy of anger is very strong. And the more you indulge in it, the more destructive it becomes, to the point where you're never happy. You always inside you like always shaky. Never peaceful, never harmony, never at rest with yourself. Your inner being is constantly, you cannot stand yourself. You have always to go out, to walk, to call people up. You cannot stand being with yourself alone. You don't enjoy yourself. You need always to distract yourself, because you cannot bear yourself. It becomes so painful to be alone, because your inner psyche is so shaken up. So that comes from anger, from stress, from pressure. You cannot handle it. So by realizing this, try, to develop this mind of loving care for others, starting with yourself, sending loving care to your body, mind, yourself, then expand it, because it's such a nice state of being. When you live within that experience, it's so pleasant. And then whatever you do under the control of loving kindness, it benefits others. Whatever you will think, whatever you will say or do, is positive deeds, positive action, good karma. And the result for yourself is just happiness. More you care for others, the more you love others, people care for you and love you. Because you're a nice person, naturally that energy comes back. And if you have trouble, you find hundreds of people wanting to help you. Just because you're a nice guy, So, you see, if one is nice, one attracts nice energy back. Cannot read. So now, in one's spiritual development, usually one speaks about laziness being the obstacle for spiritual progress. We know what we should do. What I told you, you all know already. You have heard it 100,000 times, right? Or read it, or it's nothing. I'm not a messiah saying something new, right? But the point is that we always have the excuse of not doing it now. We always have something more urgent to do right now. We have kids to bring up, or we have to work to make money for the future. Somehow, we always have busy with something else. We have no time for meditation right now. Maybe when I retire, when the kids are out of school, we always postpone. And that's a form of laziness. I don't want to do it now because there's this football game on TV. I really want to. I look out, after. But then after I'm tired. Now I have to sleep because tomorrow I have to wake up. I have to go to work. We always have this excuse to putting it off. So we have to remember. The antidote to that putting off is to remember, that we are not in control how long we are going to live. Death can really happen any day. We psychologically, on one side we know that everybody has to die and that I have to die, but somehow, somewhere in the future, down the road, not right now. And you see that not right now, even when one is 80 or 90, it's a psychological state. Not right now, no, not this year, maybe next year. We all say not now, So to realize that, death is just exhaling and not inhaling again, and we the other side, it's not far death. It's just the pump of our heart decide not to function, and we're dead. Or some kind of dirt in our veins or artery blocks, make a little knot somewhere in our brain, and we have a heart attack, and death comes. So death is not something very far, right? We are in an earthquake area, an earthquake can happen tomorrow, and people on the other side of the world said, well, this is the San Andrea fell, it's, of course, it can happen, we're not surprised. Like when we hear there was an earthquake in Japan, we say, oh yes, Japan is normal, yes, the earthquake can happen, and you hear so many people died, and say, yeah, well, of course, they live there. So if they look at us, and there's an earthquake here, well, they say, well, of course, they live in a zone like that. So to realize that death can happen, when we fall asleep, we take it for granted that we wake up the next morning, yet many people die in their sleep, and they were healthy while falling asleep, So the way to change this mind which always procrastinates, which has something more important to do right now, is to remember, to get, you see, you have to, we know it intellectually, but to bring it from your head to your heart, to experience, you really have to meditate on it a while. Really to see that, hey, I'm not eternal, I'm going to die, and it's not sure when. There's no guarantee because I'm young and healthy that I cannot die this year. You know? I mean, we all know many friends which died, when they were in good health, through accident or sickness or whatnot. So why not us? So, you see, we have this precious human life with this incredible potential, to reach such high state of bliss that, you can go, you can have control over your past, future life, that dying is like going home and you can choose where you go. We don't have that freedom yet. We're under the control of what? Our attachments, our desire, and the karma, the imprints, the habits we have taken. We are not free. So to get to that state of freedom, that's the job we have to do. How to get to that state of psychological freedom. And then the second type of laziness is indulging in non-virtuous action. Is wasting time doing meaningless things. Spending a lot of time watching TV or going shopping or, just following our mind of attachment. Just doing a lot of useless activities. So, now there's a difference. You see, whether these actions becomes a positive or negative action, it depends on your state of mind. Is when you do these things out of attachment. You watch TV with just the mind which wants to indulge watching TV. Now, if you watch TV because you had done many good action that day, you have had developed a warm heart throughout your day, you have done a lot of good things, and then you need to relax. So then if you watch a little bit of TV with the mind, look, I have done good, now I need to relax. So you enjoy watching TV for an hour or so, in order to recuperate, to gain some energy, to relax, then to be able to do again good things after. So that's okay. Because the motivation there is just you need to relax to gain strength and enthusiasm again to do something good. So that's okay. You go for a walk, or you watch a movie, or visit some friend, whatever. You relax, but it's with the idea I need some space, I need to relax, and enjoy myself. It's okay, in order to gain strength to again do something good. You have some fun, you distract yourself. And then again it gives you again enthusiasm, joy to do something good again. So that's very important. One needs to, you see, spiritual practice, you have to see that in the long term. You cannot meditate or, how to say, be hard on yourself. From now on I'm going to meditate all the time. Don't let any negative thought enter my mind. It doesn't work. You do that a half hour and you exhaust and you collapse. It simply doesn't work. So you have to be patient and see that in the long term, right? And the long term means, you don't do a marathon like a sprint. If you start a marathon, if you run, how long is a marathon? 20 miles? 26 miles? So if you go on a 26 miles like 100 meter, you will collapse. So spiritual practice is the same thing. You have to have this long-term objective and be wise on how you go about it. Right? So you do every day little bit and you work on it and you pay. You see, you have to have a program in the long term and you keep your schedule, you keep your discipline. But you don't make it too tight. You make it relaxed, enjoyable. You have to enjoy the meditation. You have to enjoy your prayer. You have to enjoy your reading. You have to. You see, spiritual practice is not work; it's enjoyment. You know, if it becomes work, forget it. It won't work. You know, you have to enjoy it. And in order to enjoy it, you have to see what you gain out of it. What you gain is more peace of mind, more joy. You know, your mental affliction goes away. You know, you're in harmony with yourself, with the people around. So you see the benefit. You know, if you do something, you know, in a superstitious way, thinking, I'm doing this and might be some benefit in some countless future lives, you know, come on. You know, so you have to understand what you're doing and the benefit you can get right now, not in 10 lives, you know. So you have to understand what you're doing, what's the purpose and how it works, you know. So it's very important, you know. So also, you see, watching the news, with one state of mind, you just do it with a negative mind. You're bored about everything, and you zap on, and you make your mind like an animal, and you just, and then you start complaining. This problem, on that happened, that, and you end up even more depressed than you already are because all the bad things that happens in the world. So that's no benefit, right? But you can watch the news. In order to develop love and compassion, look, that's really happening in the world. These people have that problem. These people have that, and these people are like you. They just want to be happy, and they go to so much trouble. So it can enhance your love and your care. You wish to help. So watching the news can be incredible, inspiring. It gives you more energy for your spiritual practice. And then also you can see, how people with negative emotion, with hatred, or with lack of education, they have wrong views and they start killing or sexually abusing or stealing. All the mistakes that, and you see that all this comes from mental affliction. It comes from greed. It comes from hatred. You see that the cause of all this unwanted pain in the world comes from the mind, comes from this negative mind. So you see, I don't have this negative mind to that extreme, but I have them a little bit in me. So you see, it gives you more energy to work on eliminating these negative states of mind. And you see, the best way to help others is to help them to give up this negative mind. To become skillful, to help them to become a good person, without using philosophical or spiritual or religious language, but how to be an example of having a good heart and joyous, and help them, to develop these good qualities. So it's not so much what we do that matters, is with which state of mind we do it. So we always, that's why in Buddhism I say, one always has to have the motivation of bodhicitta. You wake up in the morning, you try to develop that state of mind. The purpose of my life is to make other people happy. Why I exist, why I go about my day, is, whoever I meet, I will try to make him happy. And if I cannot make him happy, at least I will not make him upset. So we start, where we are. So that, if you have that motivation throughout your day, it completely changes you. Suddenly you start having self-esteem, you have respect for yourself, and you enjoy being who you are. Many people have this problem of low self-esteem. They don't like themselves. They would like rather to be like this, like that. But if you have this caring heart, if you care for, naturally you have self-esteem. Because you care for others, you care for yourself. And then the third laziness that we have is the lack of self-confidence. Thinking, yeah, meditation, might work for other, I'm not capable, it won't work for me, you know, I cannot do it, I cannot sit and meditate, other can, I cannot, my mind is too agitated, I cannot meditate, other can, I cannot, oh no, it's too difficult, my mind is too restless, I have too many mental afflictions, I cannot do it, oh no, not even worth trying, no point of starting. And even if one tries at a slight little obstacle, you see, I told you, you cannot do it. So that's, I think, is a big one, the low self-esteem one. So the Buddha, you see, he said, every being's, the mind is fundamentally pure. You don't have to make it pure, it's already pure. We just, like the sky is transparent by nature, you don't need to make it transparent. We just have to see through the cloud or remove the clouds. So it's the same thing with our mind. Our mind is not fundamentally impure, fundamentally dirty, and there's nothing to be done about it. It's just our mind is made dirty by all this negative thought and negative behavior and speech. So if we remove that, we just discover the purity of our mind. So we have this Buddha nature, we don't need to build it, we don't need to make it. And then Buddha, to give confidence to some people, told them, even flies and mosquitoes one day will reach enlightenment. So, if even then one day won't make it, what about you, which is human and has more intelligence and more capacity, you will make it. If you apply effort, you can make it. So how we come to develop this self-confidence is by having realistic objective, starting little and being happy with what one does and rejoice and feel happy. Oh, look, I was able to do 5-minute meditation today. Oh, great, fantastic. You feel very happy, and the evening you really rejoice. Oh, I did 5 minutes today, fantastic, great. I tried tomorrow again 5 minutes. You do again 5 minutes, and you slap yourself. Wow, you did again 5 minutes, great. Kind of like that. And you try every day to do one good thing. You try, today, you make plan in the morning. There in that corner of the road is always that beggar which I pass in front. Today I will stop and say, hello, how are you? And offer him a smile. Care, go out of your way with one good deed that day. Or at work you have some problem with a person. Decide, today I'm going to fix that thing. I will speak to that person. Right? Or you have problem with the kid, with the partner. Say, look, I will try to find a moment to fix that up today. Right? And then in the evening, you feel happy. Oh, look, I did that. And you feel happy. So, I think it's good. You see, if you're serious about it and you start in a small way, it's good to have an agenda. And you write in it, the good things you did that day, and at the evening, as part of your evening meditation, you write down, oh, today I did this good thing, and then you feel happy, you rejoice, and then next day again, you try in the morning, you try, today I'm going out of my way to do one good thing, and you do it and you feel happy. In the evening, you recollect it and you feel happy, and it gives you confidence, it gives you self-respect. You see, you start enjoying being who you are, and you have a spiritual program. You know, your program is to become a better person, to do good things. You know, and suddenly your life changes. You start enjoying who you are and what you're doing. You know, you don't need to go to Africa. You just can start with who you are and what's happening around you in your life. You know, people you have karma with. You know, that's the people, the bodies you encounter in your everyday life. And it changes your whole perspective on life if you do like, you know. It changes your work, your relationship with your partner, with your kid, with who you are, you know. It's kind of, you see, your outer life doesn't change, but because your attitude changes, the whole thing becomes something else, you know. It becomes precious, it becomes enjoyable. There's joy in what you're doing, because everything is a challenge to do something good out of it, instead of just whopping around and whatever comes. No, everything is a challenge. You know, and that challenge makes you sparkling, makes you awake, you know, makes you enjoy what you're doing. You know, it's because each moment is a challenge. Each moment you can either follow your habitual pattern, or you can make it into something better. And that each moment, each thought, each speech, each movement of the body, you can try to bring it to a higher level of perfection, or you can indulge in your normal way. You have that choice. So it's more fun trying to transform it and make something better out of it. You know? Maybe we'll make a 5-minute break. So another important thing in life is to not to do too many things. You know? If you ask to do something, it's better to answer, I will think about it, than to say yes. Right? And you think about it and you look whether you have the energy to carry it through to its end or not. You know, it's better to do one thing well than to do 3 things wishy-washy. So it's always good to check out, you know, if you ask or if you undertake something, whether you can carry it through. You know, because you see, you would gain satisfaction if you do something well. You will gain no satisfaction if you just mess it up. Because you have, not because you cannot do it, because you don't have enough time to do it. Right? So it's the same thing with one's spiritual work. Don't take on too much, too many commitments, too many things to do. Take on a spiritual work that you can do, how much you can do. You know, so that's very important, because you have to see it in the long term. You know, there's no benefit in doing 1-week retreat and then you don't do anything anymore for the rest of the year, right? So it's better to do every day 10 minutes. It will have more benefit than to do a weekend retreat and nothing anymore. So it's very important that we have this long-term perspective in life. You know? And also, why? There's another thing, even in the world, you know, if you start something and giving up, the more you do that, more you put the imprint of doing that. You know, you go to school, you don't finish the school. You know, you start a profession, you don't finish the training. You enter a relationship, you don't go on through the hard time, you give up. You know, so one has this habit of never finishing or never going through things. You know, and the more we do that, the more it becomes a habit, and we never finish anything. And it leaves a feeling of unsatisfaction, of incompleteness. You know, and we lose completely self-respect. And then when you ask to do something, you don't even try. You say you think already before, I'm not going to finish it, because you have that habit of that, and it stays in your mind. So better to think well before. Am I capable? Will I be able to carry through? What are the advantage? What are the disadvantage? Think well. And don't take on too many projects, because a day has only 24 hours. We need to work, to sleep, this and that, right? So it's not because I'm not capable. I wish to do it, but do I have the time, the energy to do it or not? So better to have few projects and do them well. Then you have satisfaction. So like Shantideva, he said, you see, the project wishing to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all beings, this is the most worthwhile project, to develop one's mind wishing to reach enlightenment. That's something not to give up, that, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are looking what's more beneficial, what state of mind is most beneficial. That's the most beneficial, So it's good to try to carry that through, so to have this long-term perspective and see what kind of activity are in harmony with your spiritual path. So that, you accept and you do, and what is not in harmony, what what drags you away, what takes you away, you say no. And even the virtuous project, you just take the amount that you can do, and you do it well, and you're happy, So it's better to do little but well than to do a lot and not, and you don't have the right amount of time, of energy for it. You cannot carry it through properly, and then you have this feeling of uneasiness, unsatisfaction, because you weren't able to do it well. So to develop this sense of joy, in doing virtuous things, there's 4 states of mind that one has to cultivate. So first is you see, in order to remove the laziness, you have to have the aspiration in doing good, to see its benefit. You see, if you think, there's no big difference between good, between doing good or doing bad, who cares after all? And it doesn't matter, because we all end and we die, who cares? If we have that attitude, then it's, we won't have the energy, the aspiration to remove the laziness, right? But if you have the aspiration by remembering the advantage of doing good deeds, of being positive, of cultivating a good heart, of having contentment, non-attachment, of trying, to have a peaceful, joyous mind, if you see the advantage for you in this life, that at the time of death is the best state of mind to be in, that what will bring you a good rebirth, liberation and enlightenment. If you remember that, you have an aspiration to be good. So you have to remember the benefit of being good. That will give you the aspiration, the joy of wishing to do so. So you see, those who do prayer and meditation, because they have some commitment and there's 10 years they do it, and they just do it out of habit, like a cow, chewing the grass, without any special thought. They just do it because they have to do it, like brushing their teeth, it's just a habit. There's no joy in it. It's just, the essence has gone out of it. It's just, I'm doing it because I have to do, or because that's my way of doing, So that's not, that's not enthusiastic perseverance. That's no joy in that. So you have to bring again joy in your practice of being creative, transforming into something nice, something you enjoy. And how you do that? By seeing its benefit, what it brings to you, and maybe change it a little bit so that you see the benefit it can bring to you. So that's the aspiration. And then the second is steadiness. And that's, to take on what you can do and finish it. Is that, you see, you take on jobs, you say, you're not going to stay, I'm going to meditate 1 hour a day. You're not going to keep it up. But if you say, I'm going to I won't put my alarm clock, 15 minutes or half hour earlier, I will open the window, I will wash my face, and I will sit for 10 minutes. You don't need to sit in a full lotus, the hands like that. You just sit in a nice comfortable chair, and you say, look, I have this precious human life, I'm still alive in this life, in this body, today I will try to be a good person, try to have a good heart, I will try not to make a mess around me, because I can die any day, and maybe today is the last day I'm seeing my partner, I'm seeing my kids, I'm seeing my partner at work, so I don't want to mess it up. It's maybe my last time I see them, so let's enjoy it, make it a party, make it something precious, instead of just going through it, bored. So to remember impermanence and death, somehow, it makes each moment precious because it might be the last. Now, you see, we sit here together. This moment will never happen again. The same people, the same energy, the same conversation. It's unique. It will never repeat. And if you have that awareness, every moment of your life has a quality of being precious. You enjoy. Because it's unique. It will never repeat, And you see, your kid, you will never have the same age, being the same person, He will grow up and being a grown-up, So that precious time will be gone. Same thing, our parents, we go to visit them, but it's maybe the last time we see them, So you see, the working partner, yes, but maybe they will quit, we will never see again, or I will quit, You see, if you can see the preciousness of each moment, it just changes your life, and you try to make good with people and things, And then the third thing is, which is called self-confidence, is to develop self-confidence, I alone will do it. I don't need to rely on somebody else. I will not rely on my partner, on my kids, on my boss, on my guru. I will do it by myself alone. I have to take care of my mind. It's not the job of somebody else. I have to be a good person. It's not somebody else which has to make me a good person. I have to rely on myself. And I will do it. I will take care of my mind. Develop that self-confidence. And to have that confidence that you see, if you apply effort, you can remove all your mental affliction. You have the power, you have the strength to remove your anger, your jealousy, pride, your ignorance. You can remove it. You have to have that self-confidence. I can do it. I just need to go diligently about it. Slowly, slowly. Often His Holiness Dalai Lama says, an intelligent person without enthusiastic perseverance will not reach the end of the path. But a stupid person with enthusiastic perseverance, he will make it. So it's better to be stupid, but have perseverance, than to be highly intelligent and smart, but having no perseverance. Because the guy which has perseverance, he will work on it, and gradually he will move his mental veil, his obscuration, and he will become intelligent, and he will make it. But the intelligent, smart guy where everything comes easy and has no discipline, well, he will never get there. In French we have the story. Anyway. So not to get sidetracked. There's, how you say fable? Fable, yeah. There's, in French there's many fable, and one is the le lièvre et la tortue. How do you say that? Le lièvre et la tortue. Yeah, the hare and the tortoise. So the hare is very fast, so he jumps all around and sees that the tortoise is going very slow, so he makes fun of the tortoise and lies on his back, enjoy the flowers, goes out of his way and things like that, and the tortoise just wobbles around very slowly. And finally, I don't know what happens to the hare, but the tortoise wins. He falls asleep. Okay. So he falls asleep and the other one wins. So it's same thing with our spiritual practice. Better to go slowly and steadily, but never to give up. To work on it day after day and after day. You see, if every day you meditate 5 minutes on love and compassion, every day 5 minutes, whether in the morning or at night, 5 minutes every day, your mind will change. But if you do a weekend of mindfulness and love, and then you forget about it, for another week or two, well, the person which has done 5 minutes every day has made more progress than you, done 1 week or, 1 weekend retreat. So the steadiness, the continuity is very important, whether you work on non-attachment, on contentment, whether you work on love and compassion, whether you meditate on emptiness, the essencelessness of things. Every day you have, even if it's only 5 minutes, you put 5 minutes of imprint, of letting go, of contentment, 5 minutes of love and compassion, 5 minutes you think about emptiness, that essencelessness of things. This will build up, and slowly it will, without you notice it, it pervades your whole being. Your whole nature changes, So that comes from working on it steadily. It's very small, but it accumulates. So you see, also the spiritual life, one has to be realistic, So, how to say? One can lose many battles, but one has never to give up the war. We get smashed to the ground, but we stand up again. We never give up. We fail, we fall in love, attachment, anger, pride, jealousy, we get upset, the whole tantrums happen. But you never give up wanting to remove the mental affliction to become a good person. You fail again and again, but you never give up. You always come back to it. To know, to have that self-confidence, there's nothing more important. I'm going to work on it. I never give up. I might lose some battle here and there, but I never give up the fight. Till I die, till my last breath. I never give up, and not even after death, not even next life. That's there's nothing more important than that. And then you see, to realize, that I have the capacity to do it. Not only for myself but for other. You're not only doing it for you. You're doing it for other, because the other people, they don't know how to help themselves because they are not under the control of the ignorance. They are under the control of attachment, anger, pride. They are under the control of this mental affliction, so they don't know what's right, what's wrong. They don't know how to help themselves, how to be happy. So, you see, you are going to do it for them, right? So you are trying to become a happy, joyous person, to inspire them to become like that, right? So you develop that self-confidence. I'm doing that for others, for their sake, So you see, if you have the aspiration, is for this positive state, that generates joyous effort. It gives you the energy to do so. And the steadiness, the perseverance, the working on it every day, 5 minutes, is that which will prevent what you have already gained from degenerating. So it's very important not to take on too much, but what you're doing it steadily. You never give up. If you decide to meditate on love 5 minutes, you're going to do it 5 minutes every day. You don't need to do it in the same way. You can be very creative about it, but you're going to it 5 minutes every day. Because if you do it, for a week and then you give up a week, well, what you have reached, state of mind, will degenerate because it's dependent on the effort you do. So if you give up the effort, it will degenerate. So you have to be steady in your effort, continuous. But also, if you make it creative, if you enjoy what you see, you have to make your meditation or your study or your reading enjoyable. And if you have joy in what you do, then you don't want to give up. It's not work. You enjoy. It's challenging. It's interesting. You're curious. It develops more avenue of reasoning. More things. So, you see, you open one door, but that door opens the door to 2, 3 other doors, and then it's like that. The spiritual experience is like that. It's not like a single path going up. It opens many, many doors. So you have to have that curiosity, that intelligence to be creative with your path. Otherwise, you get bored and you give up. So you have to be intelligent about it. Not always to mumble the same prayer in the same way. You fall asleep and just by looking at the book. And then, you see, so like that, to remember to make the practice joyous. So you have to have the intelligence. See, how can I make it nice, enjoyable? So you don't meditate in a place you don't like. You make it nice, enjoyable. You put some flower or some golden fish in an aquarium, or some nice music, some nice smell. You enjoy it. You make it a nice time. You sit on a comfortable place, and you start by reading something inspiring. You read a few pages or a page, about something, either the biography of somebody you liked, or or some spiritual book that you enjoy, and then you think about it. You just reflect on what you read. What does that nourish? How does that nourish your soul? How do I digest that? How does that speak to me? How can I integrate that in my life? So you think about it, and then you sit with it. Then you try to integrate it. You try to see it from that perspective, to breathe it. And then you develop a little bit calm abiding on that. You try to integrate it. You make that part of your being. And then the last thing is discarding or taking a break. If you work like that and your mind becomes tired or bored, so then you need a break. So make a party, enjoy yourself. Give yourself a break from the routine. Go watch a movie, go to the beach, or, enjoy yourself. Laugh, have joke, just have fun. Let go of your practice, your daily routine. You give up a day or two. And then once your mind is rested, be creative again and go back to it. So it's important to have that intelligence, that creativity, and to know when you need a break. If your mind gets tired and bored, it's time to take a break. Because if you persevere, it just becomes worse. And you don't enjoy and you give up. You say it doesn't work, and then you have low self-esteem and unhappy. So better take a break, enjoy, and then start again with new energy. And if one does like that with intelligence, you see, if you have that steadfastness of the tortoise, just keep on in your slow pace, or like the snail, you keep on going, day after day, little bit by little bit, and you give yourself a break when you need a break, and then you go back to it. Definitely progress will come, over the years, definitely the mind changes, and you enjoy what you're doing, you enjoy your life, you enjoy your relationship, you enjoy your mind, and you spiritually grow, And then, once you finish a certain project, you relax, you feel happy about it, and you joyfully start another one. Whatever you undertake, if it's a short-term project, you finish it, it's like, oh, I finished, I did what I wanted to do, great. You feel happy about it, and then you think, what other nice things can I do? And you just jump into the next thing. So, you see, living the spiritual life is actually enjoying oneself, is to know how to intelligently enjoy oneself. How you can transform your daily experience in something enjoyable. And if you have contentment, if you have a mind of non-attachment, if you have love, in your heart, and if you see through things, you see things that have no essence, they are not so important that they appear. Your mind is peaceful and happy. So the more you think about that, the more you develop those qualities, the happier you become. That's a fact. I think that's all what I have to say. Do you have any questions? I don't think you have any questions.
Yes, I was captured by the idea, by the fable of the tortoise and the hare, and how, in a way, looking at myself, I have both sides, the tortoise and the hare, the dedicated perseverance. And then I've got the hare that's running around doing all this, that, and the other, and gets distracted and takes on too much. And so it's really a matter of trying to be more conscious and aware of whichever, if I'm being the hare or the tortoise, and then trying to stay in the tortoise state of mind. That's it. Thanks.
You said at the beginning about the peaceful mind being bliss, and you were talking about not being attached to external events so much. And I kind of at least got my head around that to some extent with external pleasures, but external kind of difficult events, like elderly parents who are unwell, or I find that really hard to, I don't know, thinking of the blissful, peaceful mind, it's kind of like horrible stuff going on in the external world. I find it really hard to, I don't know, it kind of seems like to retreat into the blissful peace of the mind when there's suffering in the external world. It doesn't feel right.
So to be miserable about it, does it help? You see, if your mind is at peace and you're blissful, you see, within that state you develop the second state of mind, which is love and compassion. Right? So you can have a blissful and happy mind, and at the same time to have love and compassion being active. and do things. The two are not contradictory. You know? So to be berserk and to be busybody and going out and helping and being miserable doesn't help anybody. You know, it might physically, you might move a lot of stuff around, but you see, how to say? First of all, if you don't have a happy mind, you won't be able to do it for very long. You need to enjoy what you're doing, you know. I think that's a very important point. And then the second point, you see, you can give food to people, you can give, you know, you can help them physically, but if you don't help their mind to change, you know, you can, you know, I mean, I was in India and I worked sometimes in a leprosy project, you know, I mean, you know, you give them that, they want that, it's, and the greedy mind, if you don't stop the greedy, if people don't get contentment, you can offer them a castle and they want 2, they want 3. You know, it's endless. You know, if people don't develop contentment, you know, they will never be happy. You know, so you know, one thinks that giving material things will bring satisfaction. That is not true. If you know, no matter how much you have, if you don't have contentment in your mind, you don't enjoy. You have no peace. You know, and that's true for other too. You know, if you don't remove the anger, the hatred in their mind, you know, the fighting and the suffering will keep on happening. If you don't remove the jealousy, the pride, you know, you see, these are the cause of the world's problem. So if we only deal with the effect and never remove the cause, it will work for a little while, but the problem starts all over again. You know? And then in order to remove, you cannot go around preaching not to be angry and you're angry, right? So you have to start by yourself. You know, be an example of what you say, otherwise it's useless. You know? So you see, to help others is something very difficult. You see, we all wish to help others, but to have the wisdom to do it skillfully is very difficult. You know, and then suddenly, when you see how hard it is to change oneself, you can see how hard it is for others. Once you start working on yourself and seeing how hard it is, you see, you can imagine, well, the other have the same problem, right? You know, so one becomes a little bit humbler and, you know, like that. So it doesn't mean one doesn't act, but one has to have a wisdom about it, you know, to understand what one's doing, what one does, you know, in the long term. Yeah.
So, I'm sure a lot of people in this room, a lot of us, we all are striving towards enlightenment and to develop bodhicitta and whatnot, but can this not become an attachment at one point? Isn't this an attachment to always be striving towards this and to helping others?
Yes, it could be, but it's a positive attachment, because on the way, the attachment will fall away. You know, you might start with attachment to the idea, but as your love grows and becomes not anymore an idea but an experience, and your contentment, your letting go is an experience. Once you let go of enlightenment, you experience it. You know, so, and you know, understanding ultimate reality, that things have no essence. At the beginning you might have this carrot at the end of the stick, you know, but as you start experiencing it, it can change your reality. You know, so at the beginning you might have this obsession or this attachment to this idea, but as you grow, as your experience arise, you know, the whole things fall apart. You know? So, it's, you know, yeah, it's enough for that. Yeah.
What is the best way for a person to develop a state of contentment?
To develop a state of contentment. just let go. Just let go. Say good enough. Be satisfied with what you have in your life. Good enough. Good enough. Thank you so much. I have enough. I'm happy the way my partner is perfect, my kids are perfect, my job is perfect, where I live is good enough. Just be happy with what you have, what life. You see, we're all born naked with nothing at all. Yet we all somehow made a living. We have relationship. People are in our life, and we enjoy it. So let's be grateful for what we have. And I think, thank life. See, look, I'm alive. I exist. It's fantastic just to exist. We don't need to do anything special. Not to be anything special. Just to be, to have feelings, to have emotion, to be able to experience, shape, color, sound. Enjoy life. Just a tree, the beach. We don't need any special thing. So I think if you change your outlook, contentment comes. It's difficult because the media and the, always puts you. If you have Coca-Cola, you will be happier, and if this you are happier, and you need to think about this. And there's this subliminal brainwashing that you need this and that to be happy. But if you let go, you see myself. I had a period in my life, each time I would see an advertisement, I would say, this is a lie. I would say to them, this is a lie. Oh, this is a lie. This is a lie. They're cheating us. It's not true. It's not true. To counteract this imprint that, what they say is true. Oh, yes, yeah. And it eats you up slowly from within. You believe, one part of, because it's so big, you think there must be some truth in it, because they make it so big, and they try to entice you in many ways, to pull little strings. But it's not true. You don't need. I always say, this other thing. Oh, I don't need that. You go in the supermarket. Oh, I don't need all what is in the supermarket. I don't need all these shoes. I don't need all those clothes. I don't need all these things. I don't need all those cars. I don't need. I'm happy with what I have. Thank you so much. I like that. Okay. I think that's enough for tonight. So I think one important thing is this steadiness, right? So it's good that you try, make a determination to do something every day, and to work on it. And I think it's good, to come sometimes to spiritual places like here. There's a whole program always going on. So you see, one important factor to spiritual progress, one takes refuge, in the enlightened beings, their teaching, the Dharma and the Sangha. So you won't make any spiritual progress in the long term if you don't have a spiritual community around, to charge the battery, to help yourself to grow. So that's very important to, from time to time, to get some support, to get some renewed energy. So I think there's a whole program here, so it's very good, to find something which suits you, which is at your level. And for example, this weekend at Vajrapani, we do 1 day of silence, we do 1 day of mindfulness and watching the breath and just meditate on love and compassion, So that's also something, if you like, you can join. And then I have another project which is very keen to my heart. I'm not interested in teaching, I'm not interested in saying words, blah, blah, blah. There's so many teachers and so many people which make blah, blah, blah. And, it doesn't change the mind. You come, you listen, it comes, enter one ear, it leaves the other, and you stay the same. And after 10 years of doing like that, you hear teach, oh, I've heard that, 10 times, I can even explain it better than he explains it. But your mind hasn't changed, So for me, I have a project, and I think I want to start now, start an experiential Lamrim things. So we'll go through the Lamrim in an experiential way, but it's only open for people which can commit to 1 hour of meditation a day. So we meet once a week. I just want a small group of dedicated people, and we just meet once a week, and we get one topic, we discuss it, one meditation. So we go through the whole graduate path to enlightenment, and we start with the first topic, the first point. We discuss it, we get the instruction, and we go home, and we have to meditate on it for the whole week, on just that point. So the hour will be divided in 4 sessions. There will be 15 minutes of calm abiding, 15 minutes of Guru Yoga, Flamatsongkhapa, then 15 minutes of reading on that particular topic. I will give some reading, and then 15 minutes of thinking over that specific point. And then after a week we meet again, the small group, and we discuss our experience, what was working, what was not working, what are the challenges, what are the advantage of thinking that way, the advantage of thinking the other way. Like that, we work on it, we process it, and we stay on it as long as we need it, and then we move to the next topic, And people have to take notes, they have to study it and take the essence of what works for them. And then, you see, they make their own teaching, their own experience, they make the journal of their experience, and then later in life they can share that with others. They can teach from their own experience, just words. So the point is to go through it experientially, to gain the experience of the path, and then you see that you really digest it. And then when you go to teachings, to other teachings, other teacher, instead of hearing it with the head, you hear it from your experience. And you see, once you have a certain level of experience, going to other teaching is always nice, because it feeds your experience and it adds water to your own experience. Instead of becoming an intellectual thing, it becomes an experiential thing. It becomes a teaching becomes a meditation. So actually you enjoy going to teachings because you see, you can, at the teaching you can practice the whole path. You can practice respect to a spiritual master. You do the best thing. You take care of your precious human rebirth. Is the best things you can do. Is the best preparation for death. Is the best way to take care of karma. Best input for renunciation, for detachment. So the whole path feeds you going to the teaching instead of just being one more teaching. The whole experience changes because you do it from an experiential way. So like that, I feel it's so. I want to do that, but I'm only interested in a very small group of dedicated people. So if people are interested, they can apply. They can write to Vajrapani, and they have to commit for 1 hour meditation a day, and. We meet about once a week. We decide a small group when we meet, and that day we process the information we went through, and we prepare, for the next level, like that. So I think that's one project, and I think here there's Geshe Tekshok that's going to come. Can you please say a little bit something about that? Because there's also one of my teachers. I was at Nalanda Monastery for 5 years, and we had Geshe Tekchok, which is a highly respected scholar, and which has an incredibly mastering of the teaching, and he's quite an amazing yogi, And then after being the abbot of Nalanda Monastery, His Holiness Dalai Lama appointed him as abbot of of Seraje Monastery in India, and he stayed in the capacity of abbot for 5 years, and then he retired, and he was very appreciated as an abbot there. He made a lot of change in the monastery, so it was very appreciated. And now he lives, he has his own house at Sera Monastery where he does retreat, and he has kindly accepted to come here to teach. So he's a very, very good teacher, and he has a fantastic translator, because often you have great teacher but the translator is wishy-washy, it's so, but this translator is really amazing, so this translator translates for him since 20 years, So he's his dedicated student, he's monk, and he lives with him, and he has an incredible mastery, and he has studied all the topics. Often the translator, he knows Tibetan, but he has never studied the text himself. So, it's not enough to know Tibetan, because the philosophical language is very different. And if you don't have studied it or at some level of experience, you cannot really translate it, So he has all these studies and, this command of the language. So it's a fantastic team, this Geshe and Geshe Tekchok and Steve, Venerable Steve. So, I think we're very fortunate that they come here, to teach. I look forward to it myself. So maybe, can say something more about it.
Geshe was supposed to start teaching on the 7th of July, but there was a slight hiccup with the visa. So we're hoping he will arrive around that time, 7th, 10th of July. So if you check our website, we'll give the exact date as soon as we know. And then he will teach from July till September, every Monday and Thursday night, and some Sundays too. But it's all on the website.
What will he teach?
He's teaching the basic program.
Which is?
Emptiness. Emptiness on Monday.
Emptiness on Monday.
Thursday, guide to the
Guidance, okay. So you see, the emptiness. He had this project. I know a little bit more about it because I met Steve in India. He's translated actually Geshe Tekchok too, because they were this winter. I was at His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching, and Geshe Tekchok was there, and Steve was there too. So I had a chat with Steve. He was sitting next to me for a month. So and we are all bodies from Nalanda, so we know each other. And as the number of monks start, disappearing, we're only, 2, 3 left. So you cannot avoid each other. So Geshe Teksha has this project of wanting to teach emptiness, because he has really a great command of the topic and the vast knowledge about, and he wants to make a book out of the teaching he's giving here. He would like to make a book out of that teaching because he wants to present it in a way that makes sense for Westerner. Instead of just presenting it in an academic way, he wants to present all his years of study and being with Westerner and teaching in a way that people can use it. So I think it will be a very juicy topic, for those which are intellectually. It's quite tough, he's quite scholarly and tough and intellectual, so it's quite challenging topic, but it really makes your mind very clear about emptiness, very, very clear, And the second text is the Bodhikaya Avatars, entering in the path to enlightenment, from Shantideva, this beautiful poetry. So it speaks about the whole path to enlightenment from the beginning, how, the incredible state of mind that is bodhicitta, this love and compassion, wishing to reach enlightenment for all beings, and then all the steps, how you get there, how you practice the sixth perfection. And we are very lucky because in English there is 4 or 5 or 6 translations of that text. Some very poetic, some very academic, some very precise, and some very poetic. There's many different styles of translation. So you see, many teaching you receive, there's no English text, so you have a hard time to follow. But there you have a text to follow, and there's even commentaries on it already in English. So you can actually follow the text, the verse, and you can read commentaries on that verse before the class. So then, you see how he presents it, because, each tradition has their own commentary they follow, so probably you will follow one of the traditional commentary, like that. So it's a very beautiful, very inspiring text. So that's more for people which want a more experiential of the whole path, and that one is more specific just on emptiness. So both are very interesting topics. I would have a hard time to decide. I'm scared. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so maybe we just sit 2 minutes. So try to feel joyous, happy to have come here, to have had some food for our soul, for our inner being, renewed enthusiasm for becoming a better person. And try to make a determination from now on. I will try to do a little bit better. And to be creative and joyous about my spiritual path. And this positive energy we offer to all living beings, so that helps to heal the anger, the hatred, the greed in the world. And may all beings which do positive deeds, may our positive energy feed and water all their projects in the world, as well as here at Land of Medicine Buddha, so they can continue to have good programs that nourishes the soul of all the beings that come here.